All right, thank you.
How do I look?
Stunning.
I look nice.
Good.
All right, good evening, everyone. This meeting will be held in person at the Sutton Town Hall, also with access virtually via the online Zoom application or via phone at 1-929-205-6099. The meeting ID number is 847-0802-5875. The passcode 351777. All right. To all interested inhabitants of the town of Sutton, in accordance with provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 11, the Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing via a Zoom hybrid meeting on September 2nd, 2021 at 7 p.m. on the petition of Matthew Connors and Kirsten Mutel. The petitioners request a special permit, Section 7A2, as it pertains to Section 1C2D of the town zoning bylaws to permit the construction of a new nonconformity, a deck, on the pre-existing non-conforming structure and lot. The property that is the subject of this petition is located at 25 West Sutton Road, as shown on Assessor's Map Number 8, as parcel number 32. The property is located in the R1 Residential Zoning District. This meeting will be held in person at the Sutton Town Hall or with access virtually via the Zoom app or via phone at 1-929-205-6099 using meeting ID number 847-0802-5875, and the password is 351777. A copy of the petition may be inspected during normal office hours in the town clerk's office located in the town hall. Daniel Petrelli, Board of Appeals Clerk. Welcome this evening.
Good evening.
You could just state your name for the record. And,
Matthew Joseph Connors.
all right. You could just tell us a little bit about your petition this evening.
Sure. So we live on the lake, so we're trying to take full advantage of that. We're trying to put a very small deck there. At the back of the house, we do have our septic field, so it's not an extensive deck. We're just looking for 4 or 5 feet off the back of the house to put the footings, and then cantilever the deck beyond that a few feet, maybe 7 foot maximum or so. There'll be no access via stairway to the deck. It'll just be purely accessed by a slider from the first floor of the house onto the deck. More of a balcony, if anything. Probably enough room for a couple of Adirondack chairs and a grill.
All right. And then I also dropped, Lynn provided this, it appears that you went to the Board of Health as well.
Yeah, so I started this process in March with the building department, and then it was recommended to get a survey done. I also, in working with the surveyor, had to go to the Board of Health to get approval to dig close to the septic field, the Presby field. So we sorted all that out, and they provided the survey for us, and then it was recommended that I come here for a special permit. So now here we are.
You are.
I also went through Conservation Commission as well, so.
Excellent.
Who also did a on-site inspection.
Mr. Connors, is the design of your deck based on the proximity of to the septic field?
Yes.
So it would have been larger with stairs or something like that?
Of course, yeah, I would have liked to go larger, but, we're constricted by the Presby system.
Right.
I have to dig delicately when I do place the footings.
I saw that on the notes, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there is a plan included in that. I think in one of the original iterations of the plan, I had 4 footings, but then I've changed it to 3 with a cantilevered beam and whatnot to be less intrusive near the
Is that
septic.
because you have to dig it by hand, so you went from 4 to 3?
This is all, it's all true, yeah. Luckily, it's mostly fill, it's mostly sand, so it's not too difficult.
Yeah, the plan we have reflects the three
Yeah,
piers.
yeah.
And obviously, it's coming off the second floor, or it's a walkout, so,
Yeah.
The first
so-
on the front. Yeah.
right,
First floor from the front, yeah,
Right.
second floor from the back, yeah.
Okay, all right, I see the dimension here.
I have the original house plans as well, if that would help.
All right, is there any more questions from the board?
I don't have any questions.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak for or against this petition? I see none. Do we have anyone trying to reach us? Excellent. All right, does the board feel we need to do a site visit for this, or what's everybody thinking?
I personally don't.
I drove by the other night. I waved to you.
Should I make a motion to close the public hearing?
There's no more discussion? I'm good.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second to close the hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll do a work session this evening, and if you want to stick around, you can. Well, Lynn will get back to you tomorrow.
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
Play out tomorrow, but, you can watch the meeting from.
I didn't approve that.
Another day off.
I know.
There's only one more
Just one more.
item
Yeah.
on the, I'll just,
Alrighty.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job, thank you.
Okay.
Alrighty.
What's that?
Chris said that because we are still Zoom, you still have to do roll.
Oh, okay.
votes.
Oh,
Okay.
We'll do that moving forward. Do I need to do it now, or we're good for that one? Okay. All right. To all interested inhabitants of the town of Sutton, in accordance with provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 11, the Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing via a Zoom hybrid meeting on September 2nd, 2021, at 7:05 PM on the petition of Michael Harris. The petitioner requests a special permit, Section 7A2, as it pertains to Section 1C3C of the town's zoning bylaws to permit the construction of a new nonconformity, a garage addition, on the pre-existing nonconforming lot. The property that is the subject of this petition is located at 47 Hartness Road, as shown on Assessors Map Number 6 as parcel number 242. The property is located in the R1 Residential Zoning District. This meeting will be held in person at the Sutton Town Hall or with access virtually via the Zoom app or via phone at 1-929-205-6099 using meeting ID number 847-0802-5875 with password 351777. A copy of the petition may be inspected during normal office hours in the town clerk's office located in the town hall. Daniel Petrelli, Board of Appeals Clerk. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
Evening.
Just state your name for the record, if you could, please.
Sure. Michael Harris.
All right, Michael, if you could just tell us a little bit about your petition this evening?
Sure. So it's a half-acre lot, single-family home, just ranch style. Looking to put a two-car garage at the end of the driveway with a room above. The reason for the special permit is the shape of the lot doesn't give quite the setback that we'd like. And so I've shifted around to minimize the overhangs, but you still just catch the the lot lines a little bit, the setback.
All right. Are you on town sewer there?
Yes, town water and town sewer.
Yeah, it's a little piece of pie-shaped lot, huh?
Yes.
All right, what do we have for questions?
So the total square feet of the addition would be something like 2,000, is that right? It's 991 on the second floor, and on the first floor, 747 plus, I think this is new, but maybe not, like 268 or 266.
That is also new. right?
That's new too, yeah.
Right.
And then the original square foot of the current house is about 1,122, is that right?
The first floor, the living space, yes.
Okay, okay. Okay, so there's their basement or attic or anything?
Yeah, full unfinished basement.
Okay, okay, got it, got it. So would this have a basement too, or is it just for, no, okay. Got it.
So the existing house falls within the required setbacks, right, if I understand?
I believe that is the case.
So it's a conforming house on a non-conforming lot.
Correct.
And the proposed addition creates two nonconformities, the rear setback and the front setback.
Right.
figure out, I think I found my answer. So your next, the sort of neighbor that's behind you, like on your diagonal backside, I'm just trying to figure out where that house is. It looks like it's basically in line with yours, correct? They're not like right against that backside
Correct.
side setback, okay.
Yeah, their driveway actually comes out right near the point of the property there.
Right, okay.
And the house is just set back from that.
That's right, that's right.
So what we're dealing with is front and rear setbacks, and in here it says, a conforming structure on a non-conforming lot may be altered and/or extended by right as long as no new nonconformities are created. New nonconformities shall only be allowed pursuant to a special permit. So we've got, that seems to be what the discussion is the creation of the...
Yeah. Yeah, just to be honest, it does feel big to me. That was my first response. It feels like the addition sort of dwarfs the original house. You know, so I mean, I'm fairly ambivalent about this one. I feel like I drove the road. I felt like the nearby houses were fairly small, fairly modest, and this would be pretty big in comparison, I think. But on the other hand, I do hear the arguments about it might increase the property value of this area. I'm not sure it would harm that area. And it is, I mean, considering the size of it, it is almost in the setbacks. You can see there's a real effort to get it to fit in that little triangle. So mixed feelings from me.
Yeah, I'm not sure the rendering kind of makes it look a little bigger than where there's no windows or anything in the other one, you know?
Right, right.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a normal shaped lot, you could have stepped it back the other way and
Exactly, yeah.
you would have been fine. But that angle's just killing them.
Yeah.
You can jack the whole house up and move it to the left a few feet if you want. I mean,
If that was an option.
anything's an option. It just takes money.
So a question for the board would be if the applicant moved, shrunk the width of the garage, it would bring it within the 20-foot rear setback or side setback. Actually, right? There is no rear, that's a side.
Yeah.
So it would bring it within the 20-foot setback, but then we'd still have the 40, 5-foot encroachment on the other. So it wouldn't matter, because it would still be a nonconformity.
I mean, there's likely, I'm sure you've looked at this in developing the plans, I'm sure there's some constraints on the minimum size to fit 2 cars, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you, we do a lot of buildings and those, even 24 by 24 garages, they're small.
They're tight, yeah.
It's a small garage. And he's 26 by 24, so he's...
In your application, you had indicated that this was kind of the culmination of an effort to minimize impact on setbacks. What were some of the considerations that went into arriving with this?
Sure. I mean, the original idea was just to come straight down the front and backs of the house and just have it continue with, some sort of design architecture to break it up. And, I mean, we're a 4-foot removed. I mean, it puts us within 15 feet of the back line. And so we sort of shoved it off and, moved the electrical around a little bit and tried to minimize it. And we thought we were good until the drawings came back and we said, oh, now we're just over the front. But, I mean, we can shift it an inch here or there. It's not going to help us any. And, as you said, as far as width, it's 2 different size garage doors because I have a normal SUV and then I have a pickup truck with the large mirrors that I don't want to fold in, right? So, I mean, we're already sort of trying to squeeze in there without, going more than we need, but enough that I can actually get in and out of the garage without, finagling every day.
What's that area currently? Just parking? Is that where you park?
It's just the end of the driveway, yeah.
It's
Yep.
just the end of the driveway. So the driveway currently extends into the footprint of the proposed addition?
Yes.
Like for most of the proposed addition, or?
It's more than halfway down the side of the house. It's probably 5 feet from the end of the driveway to the back side of the house.
Okay. So substantially the footprint of the, okay.
Yep.
Do we have anyone here who would like to speak for or against this petition?
I can speak for it. I'm the contractor.
I don't think your opinion counts on this one. Nice try, though. There's no one trying to get through online or anything like that?
Do you know who T. Harris is?
That's my wife.
Oh, I see. So
I took
probably
a
probably not
guess
here
at
to
that one.
oppose.
Right.
Never know. She might not want to spend the money.
All right, any more questions from the board?
Just one, Mr. Harris, what does the, I think I want to ride by and look at the neighborhood and,
Yep.
look at this house and to kind of assess for myself what it would look like. What does the front of your house look like right now? It doesn't look like that, I bet.
No. No, sorry, we didn't draw the features. If I come up so I can sort of describe it. So it's a ranch, right? So there's I don't know if the cameras can see it, but you have 2 bedrooms across the front. So you have a double window, a single window. There's actually a front step that comes off with an overhang.
Okay.
And then a double window for the living room there, and a side door that actually comes out to the driveway that would be eliminated,
Okay.
or would actually be the connection into this addition, really.
It looks like a dairy barn in the rendering.
We're in
That's a
Sutton.
Long Island.
Yeah, really?
We still have
Right.
Dairy
dairy.
barn. Oh, I thought you meant to store the dairy barn.
No.
All right, so do you want to do a site visit?
I do.
Okay. That's fine. What's everyone's schedule? Do you want to?
This weekend's not great.
Yeah, I'm not around
Away.
Saturday, but
Do you want to do it next week? You want to do it closer to our next meeting?
what's our schedule? October?
For next month,
Yeah.
it would be the 7th, I think, October 7th.
Yes.
Okay.
So would you like to do it that Tuesday, the 5th? Keep everything fresh, or do you want to do it right now? Like, I don't mean right now, I mean next week.
I'm available whenever.
Yeah, pretty,
I don't.
Yeah, that's
easy.
I don't.
Okay. So,
That's a Tuesday the 5th.
Tuesday the
What time
5th.
you want to do it? After work hours or during lunch or?
I think it might make sense to do it earlier in case we discuss something that they may
That's a
want to
good
prepare
point.
for at the next meeting, right? To give them the opportunity to, to the extent that something,
okay,
which I don't know, if it will or won't, but to the extent that it might help accelerate the process for them if there's comments or
so based on
feedback.
that, should we do it the last week of August?
I'm ready, I'm
full
available
week?
whenever, yeah.
Or September, right?
Yeah, that's
the
what I
last
meant.
week of
We
August.
missed the last week of August. I slept through it.
Time machine.
Tuesday, the 28th of September?
Sure.
That works?
That's great with me.
All right.
What time?
Time is, as long as it's any time after
5:30 or something
noon,
like
I'm
that?
good.
I might have to go in on that day. I don't have to go into the office much, but I might. So if we could do like 5:30 or something.
5:30, sure. I could do 5:30.
And what was the
How does
date?
that work with your schedule?
28th.
Oh yeah.
Do I get a vote? I'll pull out a flashlight and go down there now. What day did we say?
Tuesday, September 28th.
That's fine.
5:30 good?
Works for me.
Did you want it staked out, or?
That would be helpful.
Yes.
You said 5:30?
Yeah, is that good?
Yeah.
It's not gonna be getting dark and.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we're gonna be pushing daylight.
No,
I don't think
yeah, I
that's-
didn't think about it.
When does daylight, the clocks don't change yet, do they? September 28th? They wouldn't have fallen back.
I think we're good still.
We can park our cars in a row with our headlights on.
Yeah, there we go.
Can I bring your pen? It's been so long since we've been here, I forgot to bring them. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to continue this hearing until October 7th, 7 PM.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Dan Petrelli, aye.
Rick DeShane, aye?
Rich Haskins, aye.
James Mayer and I.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll see you on the 28th, 5:30.
Right. And I think I'll have the architectural drawings there as well,
Oh, that would be
so
really
that,
helpful.
I'm hoping to have them all set so we can see them while we're there.
All right,
Thank you.
All right.
great, thank
very
you.
much.
All right, we also have some meeting minutes. We have minutes from June 3rd. I would entertain a motion to approve these minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from June 3rd.
Second?
Do we have any discussion?
No, they look good.
All right, we had a first and a second. All those in favor?
Dan Petrelli, aye.
Rick DeShane, aye?
Rich Haskins, aye.
James Mayer and I.
The ayes have it.
And I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for June 17th.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We have any discussion on these June 17th meeting minutes?
No, sir.
All right, all those in favor?
Dan Petrelli, aye.
Rick DeShane, aye?
Rich Haskins, aye.
James Mayer and I.
All right. Entertain a motion to open the work session.
25 West Sutton Road. I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, the applicant is requesting a special permit.
Do we need to vote on? Oh,
Who's going over what they're asking for?
okay.
Yep. So they're asking for a special permit to construct a new non-conforming deck on the pre-existing non-conforming structure and lot. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the application for a special permit, 25 West Sutton Road, to build the deck as drawn in the application.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
I don't have any discussion.
Yeah, pretty.
I mean, I think I have a hard time saying that this isn't just a nice, small, modest upgrade. I don't see it interrupting anybody, impacting anybody. He's already constrained by the property and how big it can get. Seems like he's been through a process to figure out what he can even do, so I think it'll improve the property without hurting the neighborhood.
I agree.
If you look at the back of the house, looks like it could use that right there, you know?
Yep.
I think it's a good fit.
I agree.
All right.
We
Any-
have our list, our 5 items to go down.
That is what we need to do. All right, so for our special permit, this one, right? So we have to look at the appropriateness of the specific site as a location for the use. So they're adding a deck to an existing
Certainly makes
single-family
sense,
home.
right?
It fits, yep.
Adequacy of public sewerage and water systems. He certainly did his due diligence to make sure he wasn't going to hurt his existing septic system, and his well is located safely on the other side of the property.
As long as he digs the hole where as long as the stick is in the right place, right?
As long as he doesn't run into that big rock that's waiting for him under there.
I'm sure that-
And the effect of the developed use upon the neighborhood.
Neutral.
Yep. And whether there will be undue nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians, and whether adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided to ensure the proper operation of the proposed use, structure, or condition. So obviously, I don't think there'll be any hazard to vehicles or pedestrians, and obviously he has adequate and appropriate facilities to ensure the proper operation of his new deck. All right. Anything else?
I have nothing else.
All right. So we had a motion and a second. We had some discussion. All those in favor?
Dan Shirley, aye.
Rick DeShane, aye?
Rich Haskins, aye.
James Mayer and I.
All right. The ayes have it. There you go.
It's a shame it won't be ready for Labor Day weekend.
He looks at the clock.
Still got time.
Maybe.
You'll get those 3 dug tonight.
I might order materials tomorrow.
Yeah, you might want to.
Do I have to wait for?
There's a process. I'll call you on Monday.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you for such a complete submission.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Looking pretty good.
You got the as-built one checked on there too? Just some of these are pretty tight. We want to make sure we get a legit as-built on those. I'm gonna need it, sorry. Do you want it back anyways? I mean, I touched it with my bare hand.
Ooh,
COVID.
we'll have to sanitize it. I just use my mask when I write.
All right, anything else? Oh, we're gonna discuss maybe that 40B stuff?
I just wanted to, as you say, I submitted copies, not for all the towns, but a few here and there for you to look at. You can also go on any town website, ZBA, and pull up what they have. I did reach out to the state agencies. They have nothing.
They don't
I
have,
talked to Jen, and I think you even talked to Jen, and she gave me a couple of contacts. Those are the people that I reached out to, and nothing stands out. I approached Salem. There were a couple of questions about historical data, things of that nature. They never responded. And again, I don't see how you can, apply that to the application. I think it's basically the state guidelines and a basic application where you can verify that they submitted the information that's needed. As I said, I did put a little note on the application that sort of says that the board may request additional information if it's found to be something pertinent to the application. And a signature space so that they're aware, that, this is what they have to submit. I don't know if you have any more questions.
I gotta take a look at all these and digest
Yeah,
a little bit, I
Again, it's
think.
not something that you need to, and,
It makes sense to just wrap it up, I think.
yeah, it's a
don't,
basic application that covers the state regs.
I have a few comments, and Lynn, I think that you've gone above and beyond the call in your research. I really do, and I think that you've worked really hard to
Oh, thank you.
to address the concerns that I had presented at the last meeting, and I really do appreciate that. That being said, I participated in the construction with Chris. Chris was also on the committee for the
Housing
creation
productions.
of the comprehensive housing plan, and know a lot about 40B, and there's elements of it that of these projects, and they're not limited to OLI and business districts. They can land pretty much any place within the confines of the town.
Yeah.
And generally, they have density and associated issues that's created by density, right? In this town, we're lucky enough to have, and I'm gonna, I don't have the original application in front of me, but there was essentially there was a place for an impact statement that you would include it, and in the last meeting, I can pull it out and find it if we want to be more specific, but in this town, I came to this town, I've traveled all over the world many, many times, lived on both coasts and in between, and kind of have decided to hang my hat here because the town is very special, and there's elements of the town and its character that I think, to the extent possible, when you look at development that falls within the confines of what's traditionally allowed in zoning districts, I think the process is managed very well between the activities of the planning board, and we get involved with nonconformities, and conservation gets involved to make sure that there's adequate wetland protection. But one of the things that's so special about this town is that we have a number of national historic districts, and all of them are vulnerable to 40B projects. We have the Sutton Center, which there's currently a 60-some-odd acre lot that's right behind the row of houses that, to the extent that went 40B, would have a huge visual impact and traffic. And, these projects are traffic generators. You're going to be getting 1,000 trips a day out of all of these. And a lot of any road in town that's marked scenic road means that, to the extent that there's diversion of traffic onto those streets, it's going to create issues that need to be addressed in connection with the submission of the application, I believe. We have the West Sutton National Historic District, which is on Central Turnpike and is under huge pressure because Central Turnpike is largely used as a cut-through for 395 to 146. And any project that went along there would have further impact. And the Blackstone, we have the Blackstone Canal National Historic District, which similar, large tracts of land all around it. We have the Free Grace Marble Farm National Historic District, which I'm a bit partial to, but there again, it's at the intersection of two scenic roadways that anybody that's gone through there with any regularity through the intersection of Burbank and Sibley obviously knows that, to the extent that there was additional traffic diverted to that, would create
Big problems.
huge problem, right?
I personally feel like that intersection maybe should be closed. It's not.
I've approached the town on several occasions asking that they begin to understand the issue and develop a plan and from the selectmen down, and have been personally completely dissatisfied with a lack of an interest in even understanding the issue, right? It's
Sorry for a bit of a side tangent.
We have the village of Manchog National Historic District. Manchog is also an area where there's large tracts of land that would be subject to this. We have, and I also believe that Wilkes is in the process of being, and Manchog is in the process of being approved. It's been submitted and nominated. And I believe that Jen Hager is working with the village of Wilkes. So one of the things that gives this town its character and its special nature is the fact that we're gifted to have these national historic districts in essentially every corner of the town, right? You know, you're a stone's throw from a very, very special place. And that doesn't even include like Waters Farm, which is a national historic landmark. So I think that if we're going to spend some time to understand impact and mitigate impact, really those are the only options that we have as it relates to 40B. Realistically speaking, our mitigation efforts, and that we're doing the applicant a favor if mitigation efforts as it relates to minimize impact on historic and cultural resources within the town, to the extent that that's known up front and they come prepared. I think we're doing them a favor by then, as opposed to introducing it at meeting 3 and expecting to get a realistic response. These projects can redefine communities, right? You get a 4-story generic 200-unit complex with stucco siding and a flat roof, and you know, it's as a board, there's little that we can do to stop it, nor do we want to. We have an obligation, we have a legal obligation within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to produce qualifying units, and the town right now is in a position where we're grossly deficient. So it's an issue that does need to be addressed. It's an issue that's not kind of, you know, we've been fortunate in that the submissions to date have been limited. But there's nothing to say that that's going to continue to be the case. And I think that when you look at impact on the town and our job as members of the zoning board is to mitigate and manage these issues, I think 40B is the most significant issue that as a board we could potentially ever have to deal with. And I can talk to Lynn about where I thought we'd weave this in, but I think that it's important on the application that we state that we don't just want a traffic study, but we want an assessment of secondary impacts on some of these roadways that, okay, we understand if you take a left what happens, but what happens if you take a right? And generally, traffic studies focus on the intersection in front of the project that you know, as opposed to what happens when you go down the road 300 or 400 yards, or what happens if you take an alternate route, or are there alternate routes, or so I think that it would be helpful, and we would be doing the town justice by requesting that as part of this traffic study there's secondary roadway analysis, and that to the extent that there is an impact on historic or cultural resources, that they explain what the impact is up front, understand what the impact is up front, and are prepared to mitigate. And you know, I'm a lot of a history nerd, and to some extent I put my money where my mouth is in terms of revitalizing the Free Grace Marble Farm Historic District. And I own 314 Boston Road, Polly's Antiques across the street, which is a prominent feature in the Village Historic District. I know that my feelings and sentiments are shared by a large population of the town. I've taken the opportunity to talk to them about how important these resources are. And although often taken for granted and underappreciated to the extent that they were significantly impacted, I think that there would be a lot of people that would be very disappointed. So I would propose that in the application, as part of what's being submitted, that a historic impact statement wouldn't be inappropriate, and it wouldn't take a huge effort to create. many towns, and I've done a lot of research, Lynn, many towns, as part of the application for a regular condo project. In Millbury, for example, the Singletary Arms, a requirement of their submission was the inclusion of a historic impact statement. The applications that we see from the various towns, and Lynn has done an unbelievable job of doing the research. I haven't had a chance to take a look at the limited batch, but I did kind of do some digging on my own, and they're as varied as days of the week, right? There's no common denominators, there's no standard copy of a form, there's no...
They're based on the regs.
Yeah. So I think that considering in our town plan, in its introduction, the importance of scenic, cultural, and historic resources is one of the primary objectives and one of the primary key elements and assets of the town. I think that having it be addressed as part of this process, whether or not it has any bearing in the ultimate decision, but asking them to generate information as it relates to what the impact is, instead of being silent on the issue, crossing their fingers and hoping for the best, isn't necessarily in the best interest of the town. So that's and like I said, it's a very personal thing, and I don't know whether or not my feelings are shared, but it's something that I take very, very seriously and would ask you to consider to do the same.
Of course. I agree with you. I think it was very well said.
Yeah.
And I think that there are a lot of historic places in this town that, mean, I moved here too.
They create character, right? It's what separates us from a lot of the surrounding communities.
I moved here from somewhere else too, so it's important to maintain it.
I would say unless there's some reason we can't ask for it, then I'd like to see it in there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm just not sure what, they're just tough to,
I think that when you go through the process.
Actually, Mass Historic is one of the few agencies that does have impact on 40B plans. So, and they're, and I don't know nationally, wouldn't it's a state regulation, it wouldn't really apply nationally, but, Mass Historic, whenever you get a curb cut on a state road, Mass Historic gets involved, right? They have programs and outreach to make sure that this is adequately addressed in a timely fashion. And I think that by asking it up front, we're doing a favor for the applicant, because it's going to allow them to address it in connection with the completion of their original application, which would just accelerate the process. Whether it's relevant or not in our assessment or our ability to manage around these issues, I don't really think is material to the generation of the information.
Man, I think it's something that we should know.
Yeah, right. Whether it's relevant or not, we'll find out
Whether you
as
can
we're
use
dealing
it
with
as
it.
leverage or not, it's something that we should know and should be up
We're
front.
not leverage, but, it's a mitigation, as we discussed with the proposed garage tonight. What other options have you considered, right? Is there, this is an impact that's meaningful and large. How have you, it generates a discussion. Whether or not the discussion has any bearing on the final outcome, who's to say? But I think that we'd be remiss in our duties if we didn't have the discussion.
I agree. Do we have a deadline on revision of the application?
No, technically, it's not something that the board really has to approve, but I always like to sort of
If we want to get
keep
this,
you on board of what I'm doing behind the scenes, because, I work for you. It's an application. I am curious as far as Millbury. You said Millbury.
in connection with the Singletary Arms project that was submitted in their initial
Where
application.
have you seen Millbury's regs?
I didn't look at the regulations. I looked at the historic impact that was part of I was very involved in that.
This is the one in Bremenville.
This is the one in Bremenville, and there was, in connection with the submission of their original application, there was a historic impact
Was it
statement.
requested, or was it something that
It was
they
provided.
submitted?
It was provided.
Okay, so
I
it
don't know
wasn't-
that it was. I don't know that it was requested or not.
Okay. righty. I mean, we'll
I can,
talk about
I'm
it.
not trying to drag this process out. There was, if you want, if you want to take 2 seconds, I can dig out my stuff and,
I also just want to let you know that if a project comes up in one of these districts and you're concerned, as you know, they can go anywhere.
Yeah.
As you pointed out. You do have leverage to sort of design or require that they design the look of the building for that area. You can make that a requirement. You can also, and I don't know if you remember Leland Hill Estates, that was a tight neighborhood.
Yeah,
Have you ever heard of that?
But, I mean, one of the requirements was air conditioning. It had to be internal. They could not have the units hanging out of the windows. So you can make certain conditions to go along to fit the area, you know?
to wrap the process up, and I don't know, I'm not looking to drag this on and all that stuff. I haven't had a chance to take a look at the other comprehensive permit applications that we were provided tonight, but I've looked at enough of them to know that they're all over the place and that there's no consistency, and that, obviously if CMRPC is not
Have you
getting back to you,
seen
they're
any
not.
of them ask for the specific information?
I've asked, a lot of them have impact studies, how you develop, what
Historical?
impact study, right? So I don't know how you define impact study, if impact study would include historic resources. I would like to suggest.
I mean, if you're doing a traffic impact study, like you said, if you're painting it with a broad brush saying an impact study, then you could certainly say, we want traffic impact, we want historical impact, whatever.
I think that.
I think it would be easily, brought in.
I don't question whether or not it could be brought in if the discussion moves forward. I just don't see a reason why we wouldn't request it as a document and be addressed up front.
I mean, I think it's kind of almost like the traffic impact study. I mean, why not have?
So when I went through, I made 2 notes, and if we want to wrap this up, I'm not looking by any means to extend the process. And if you look at, I don't know if you have the proposed application that Lynn had sent around, but on 8.8, there was, please check off documents that have been included with this application which support the request for a comprehensive permit. And then there's a series of subheadings A through M, which include the documents. And item B, report on existing site conditions and summary report on surrounding area to include impact on, and then I would add, to include impact on historic and cultural resources. So it's a subset of what we're really looking for them to do anyway, right? And surrounding areas, if it includes a historic district, I don't think that it's inappropriate that in connection with that it be identified and discussed. So that's one. And then G is traffic study, and I would suggest that that be expanded to be traffic study to include potentially impacted secondary roadways. And that would, if we were to add those 2 things into this, I'd be happy as a clam. If you feel that it's appropriate. If you don't feel that it's appropriate, I'm not, like you said, Rick, there's the ability to bring this up in the conversation as it relates to these projects, so I'm not suggesting that it's the only way that it be done, but I think that if it's going to be something that comes up that's meaningful and discussed, to the extent that up front it's addressed and the information is provided, it's in the best interest of the applicant.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, if the applicant knows that up front, then they're going to do the research before they come.
Yeah, right, and it's either an issue or it's not, and the board's either going to make it an issue or say it's not an issue. It's not. So I would be, I don't know if we need to vote on this or how that would work. I'd be more than, if we included those 2 things in those 2 areas, I'd be more than supportive of advancing the application and just being done with it so that Lynn can get on with things.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine with me. I don't think it's a major change. It's just something that's probably going to come up in the process anyways. So spelling it out ahead of time, like you say, really only going to be beneficial to everyone.
Yeah, yeah, right.
We're going to end up there anyways. We might as well just put it out front.
Right. So then would you redraft with some language that Jamie's suggesting that application and then have us vote on it?
Or tonight, if we just want to vote on it with those additions, I'd be
Do we
fine
even
with
have
that
to vote on
too.
it?
No.
Oh, I thought I heard you say we had to approve it.
No, you don't have to approve it. I shared what I was doing. So, and 4 recommendations to see if, you were on board with it.
Okay.
Jim has a couple of concerns. My only concern is I'm not so sure you can, if they want to provide it, and I'd be curious to see the documents that Millbury got. I have not seen in any of the other applications where they've asked for historical or cultural information.
It was a 2-paragraph thing that said it's a historic building and that there were no other historic structures within the vicinity of the project. A statement like that would be, if there are no other historic buildings within the vicinity of the project, it would be, it would be not applicable.
And if there were, how would it be? That would be my question. How would it affect
how
what
is
they're
it going to
doing?
impact the view shed? How is it going to impact traffic? How is it going to, what is the impact? Setbacks, density, it's all part of the discussion as it relates to a 40B. I don't think that it presents any issues as it relates to anything. I hope as a town, we would have the foresight and proactivity to make sure that to the extent possible, we protected some of these important resources to the extent that the tools are available to us to do so. If they're not, they're not.
Lynn, are you thinking that it's, we don't have the authority to ask for that?
Kind of.
But on the other hand, you can ask,
You can ask, and if they want to provide, but it's,
Right, if they
it's not
don't-
something that's outlined in the state that
right, that's what I was going to say.
they have
If-
to provide
If they
us.
say, oh, we don't want to provide that, we can't say, all right, it's denied, just because that's not going to happen.
So my question would be, now you mentioned all the historical districts, like the one on Central Turnpike. What are we talking about, historical, cultural? Are you talking buildings? Are you talking just the land?
You can read the filing. It's all outlined, and you don't just say, I want this to be a National Historic District. You have to submit a filing, and it gets voted on and approved by the appropriate authority. And it includes structures. It includes the proximity of structures to each other. It's a village, right? It includes, as it relates to Central Turnpike, within probably 700 feet in any of the directions of the intersection of West Sutton Road and Central Turnpike, there's probably a dozen colonial homes that, well, maybe that's an exaggeration. There's at least 7 or 8 of them, that colonial period homes that comprise a historic district. A designation of a National Historic District isn't something that's just given as a courtesy to a town. It needs to qualify, be eligible, nominated, and voted on, and meet eligibility criteria. So I don't, without knowing what is, as it relates to Central Turnpike, what is relevant, and a lot of times the reason the traffic is important, if you notice, the historic and colonial homes are right smack dab on the road. So
But that's traffic.
that's
And they are
traffic and
supposed to,
impact.
they are going to need to do that traffic study, and I have no problems with adding secondary roads.
I'm not looking to create an issue or argue about this. I just
Oh,
think,
I'm not either, Jim. I want you to,
I
I
just
just
think
want
that
to make
it's-
sure
I just think that
we
it's
don't
relevant.
overstep our bounds.
I don't see how asking for an impact statement would exceed our bounds. And I think that we'd be remiss if we didn't. That's just the way I feel. I'll vote if we're not voting on the application, so I'll roll either way, but I just think that I just don't see a logical reason why we wouldn't request it. Maybe there's no impact.
The old saying, it never hurts to ask.
Never hurts to ask. No, it just,
Because we can't, like I said before, you can't deny the application because they say, oh, we don't want to do that, or whatever. I mean, if it's a bigger issue than that on one, then we'd have to look at it separately.
I kind of think as a board, we should vote on it in terms of the application. I think that if we're advancing the process and we're the ones that are responsible for working through this, the information that we feel is relevant to help understand what issues may be created by the project is something that there should be a consensus on.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily, we don't have to vote on changes to the applications like that anyways. We can, right? I mean, you can just add.
You can do.
You can just
whatever.
add that.
If you want to do a vote on it, feel free.
I mean, I think we're all in favor of it, so whatever. But I mean, I don't think it, hurts to add the language in. It's not gonna,
Yeah,
like I said, the applicant cannot do it,
Yeah.
and there's still nothing we can do about it, so.
Yeah, right.
Like, it doesn't hurt to ask. I mean, you
No,
ask for it, and hopefully they
yeah.
provide something.
And I think that the
Bob, sure.
traffic, when you look at the impacts on historic districts, I think the traffic is the primary impact or the primary potential impact. And to the extent that traffic studies address secondary roadways and what happens when you get more than 1,000 feet from the project, if there is an issue, I think that that's the majority of what we'd be looking for. On the working through some of these, like the Singletary Arms project, there were 3 different traffic studies that were produced that none of them reconciled with each other, that were thrown together and incomplete, and it checked the box, and nobody seemed overly concerned about it. It was a very frustrating process that,
I had issue with the original traffic study before it was Leland Hill Estates, when it was just gonna be a condo project. I had issues with the traffic study.
Yeah, they're usually incomplete, and if you don't define what you want for them, it costs money to go do a secondary roadway analysis. It's not going to be provided. And these 40Bs, the successful ones are the friendly ones, right? Where there's an element of cooperation between the applicant and the selectmen and the ZBA. And I wouldn't really define a friendly 40B is one where the applicant doesn't have sensitivity to traffic and impacts on things that define the character of a town. I don't see that as friendly. I would hope that friendly is a little bit more than saying please and thank you, and that there's something of a desire to weave this as to the extent possible into the fabric of the community. That's how I feel.
Bottom line is, traffic improvements cost money, and they won't be in favor of that.
I would rather that the traffic improvements that are necessary come at the time when you can still have the discussion with the applicant about cost, and not
Yeah.
2 years after the project, the ribbon's been cut on the project, and there's a continuous issue that's created that becomes a town issue at that point. I think that,
Does sound familiar.
yeah. Anyway, I've said enough. Thank you.
All right? Anything else?
I have nothing else.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to
I will
adjourn this
second.
meeting.
All right. All those in favor?
Dan Petrelli, aye.
Rick DeShane, aye?
Rich Haskins, aye.
James Marin, aye.
See you next one.
Recording stopped.
Lynn, thanks for all the work you've done for us.
Hey, no problem.
No, I just wanted to turn it back to
Okay. So the